Are your orchids not blooming as they should? The reason might be right under your nose, or rather under your orchids. Welcome to the intriguing world of flora, where not everything is as it seems. Today, we're peeling back the petals to reveal a surprising truth. Those charming daisies you've planted alongside your orchids could be the very reason why your orchids are struggling. Yes, you heard that right. Daisies, with their sunny disposition and innocent charm, might be the secret culprits behind your struggling orchids. Now you might be wondering, how can daisies possibly harm orchids? Well, it's all about the secret life of plants. You see, daisies, like many other plants, have a secret weapon to ensure their survival. They release certain chemicals into the soil, a phenomenon known as allelopathy. These chemicals, called allelopathic substances, aren't harmful to the daisies themselves. In fact, they help daisies thrive by suppressing the growth of other plants nearby. Unfortunately, your orchids happen to be in the line of fire. Over time, these allelopathic substances can inhibit the growth of your orchids, leading to poor flowering and even plant death. It's a silent battle for survival happening right in your garden, one that your orchids might be losing. But before you start removing every daisy in sight, it's important to understand not all daisies are harmful to orchids. Only certain types release these harmful substances. It's essential to know which ones are the culprits so you can make informed decisions about your garden's layout. So the next time you notice your orchids not blooming as vibrantly as they should, remember, those innocent-looking daisies might be the secret culprits behind your struggling orchids. But don't worry. In the next scenes, we'll delve deeper into the science behind this phenomenon and provide you with expert advice on how to protect your orchids from this daisy conundrum. So what's the science behind this surprising phenomenon, you may ask? Well, let's delve into the botanical world to unravel the mystery. Daisies, like many other plants, have developed a striking survival strategy over millennia. They release certain chemicals into the soil around them, a process known as allelopathy. Don't let the term scare you. It simply refers to the way some plants secrete substances to suppress their neighbors and claim more resources for themselves. Clever, isn't it? Now these chemicals are known as allelopathic substances. While they serve the daisies well, helping them to flourish and spread, they can spell trouble for other plants sharing the same space. And unfortunately, your beloved orchids fall into this category. These allelopathic substances can directly affect the growth and development of your orchids. They interfere with important processes such as seed germination, root development, and nutrient uptake. This disruption can lead to a range of health problems for your orchids, from stunted growth and poor flowering to wilting and even death. But the plot thickens. The daisy's chemical influence doesn't stop at the orchids. It can also affect the soil's nutrient content and alter the microbial community living there. This can lead to a domino effect, further impacting the health of your orchids and other plants in your garden. And here's the kicker. Daisies are perennial plants, meaning they grow year after year. So, if left unchecked, they can continue releasing these harmful substances into your garden soil for a long time, creating an environment that's increasingly hostile for your orchids. In the end, your orchids could pay the price for the daisy's chemical warfare. But understanding the science behind this interaction is the first step in protecting your orchids. With this knowledge, you're better equipped to take action and ensure your garden remains a safe haven for your precious blooms. But don't just take our word for it. Let's hear from an orchid expert. Yes, indeed. It's always helpful to get insights from the pros. Our expert today, a seasoned horticulturist with over 2 decades of experience, shares this crucial advice. Orchid enthusiasts need to understand the potential harm daisies can inflict on their beloved plants. While daisies add charm and beauty to any garden, their unseen allelopathic effects can be detrimental to the health of your orchids. The expert continues, these chemicals, while harmless to the daisies themselves, can cause stunted growth, poor flowering, and even the death of your orchids. This is why it's so important to be aware of the plants you're pairing together in your garden. So, there you have it, straight from the expert's mouth. As our expert confirms, daisies might not be the best companions for your orchids. But fear not, orchid enthusiasts, there are ways to protect your beloved plants from the daisy menace. Let's delve into some practical solutions that can help safeguard your orchids from the allelopathic effects of daisies. First and foremost, physical separation is key. If you've got both daisies and orchids in your garden, consider giving them their own designated spaces. By physically removing the daisies from your orchid bed, you're eliminating the immediate source of those harmful allelopathic substances. Think about creating a daisy-free zone for your orchids. This can be a dedicated bed, a raised platform, or even individual pots. The goal is to give your orchids a place where they can grow and bloom without being stifled by their daisy neighbors. But what if physical separation isn't an option? Well, there are other ways to shield your orchids. One of the most effective methods is using organic mulch, or a barrier method. Organic mulch not only enriches the soil with nutrients but also acts as a protective shield against the allelopathic substances. You can use compost, bark chips, or even straw as mulch around your orchids. These materials will serve a dual purpose, nourishing your orchids while keeping those pesky daisy chemicals at bay. Now, if you are dealing with a severe daisy invasion, it might be time to consider barrier methods. This involves using a physical barrier, like a sheet of plastic or fabric, to prevent the daisy chemicals from reaching your orchid's roots. It's a more drastic measure but can be highly effective in protecting your plants. Remember, the health of your orchids is paramount. It's worth taking these extra steps to ensure they can thrive, free from the harmful effects of daisies. With a bit of effort and attention, you can create a safe and nurturing environment for your orchids. One where they can grow, bloom, and bring joy with their vibrant colors and exotic beauty. With these precautions, your orchids can thrive, free from the harmful effects of daisies. So, are you ready to see your orchids bloom to their fullest potential? Remember, those seemingly harmless daisies might be the ones holding back your orchids. They release allelopathic substances which could cause stunted growth and poor flowering in your orchids. But don't despair. By creating a separate space for your orchids or using organic mulch, you can safeguard your orchids. It might be time to say goodbye to those daisies. Thanks for watching, and happy gardening.